Welcome to Camera Shake Podcast, episode 105, the podcast where we talk about photography, videography, and anything that's got anything to do with any of that. But before we get into it, let me just remind you that if you are listening to the audio version of this podcast, there's a fully fledged, fully technicolored video version over on YouTube. So if you're that way inclined and, you want to see or listen to more than just our excellently sultry voices.
It's pink and blue and everything.
It's pink and blue and everything, yeah. So if you are interested in our background, come and watch us on YouTube. Anyway, once you're there, make sure you hit the subscribe and like button and all the rest of it. Hit that bell so you'll be notified every time we launch a new episode. Now, episode 105.
Shebang.
Should have been last week.
Does this make it 106?
Well, I don't know.
No, 105.
105B.
Yeah, 105B. Yeah.
So yeah, we are back. Last week was a bit of a dropout.
Yeah. Expect many more. No, I'm joking. Just unfortunately, sometimes your week just gets a little too busy
sometimes
to get it all in.
Life gets in the way.
Life does get in the way. Damn you, life. Damn you.
Exactly. But we're back. It really has been an incredibly busy week.
Do you know I don't even know what I've done?
Well, I've done so many things. It's just been nuts. So,
excuse me. Oh, that's still lingering COVID cough. That is.
Wow.
I know. Tell me about it. Excuse me.
Yeah. So it's been a busy week. I've been working on countless things.
Yeah. No, it has been super busy. What have you been working on?
Well, there's a whole bunch of different things. I've been working on some headshots. I'm also planning 2 days of headshot mini sessions that are coming up in the next few weeks.
What do you define as a mini session?
So a mini session is really a much quicker, much shorter session that's also much more affordable. So typically, typically the way I run headshot sessions is that it's there's no time limit on it. Mm-hmm. So the way I do it is that I charge a session fee and then a per photo fee on top of that. So the session fee is really unlimited in terms of time. So it could take an hour, it could take 3 hours. It doesn't really matter because all that really matters is the end result. And you might think, well, but then if a session takes 5 hours, then you make less money per hour. But the reality is, there's two things that happen. First of all, if you run a session like that, you're going to get a lot more customer satisfaction because you're really going to get to the good stuff in that session. But the other thing also is you can shoot a lot more variety. And because the way my pricing structure is structured is that I charge a session fee plus a per photo fee. So the more time I have with a client, the more photos I can actually upsell at the end of it. So it's, it works to my benefit. And when I changed my pricing structure to this system, about maybe a year and a half ago, a year ago, something like that, it really meant that I'm actually earning more per session every time. And so it has a benefit, and so I typically book. I tend to not book more than one person a day, because then that gives me the flexibility to literally just spend as much time as is needed. And the thing is, the reality is, and I see this a lot, when you look at headshot sessions that are like, a 20-minute session, let's say, you basically, so you shoot on one background, you get a photo, they'll pay the price, the package price. Because you often see that. You see like 3 different packages, there's like a 20-minute session, there's like, a 40-minute session, an hour and a half or whatever it may be. The problem is you're locked in with the price. If you're saying like with the middle package or something, you get 40 minutes of my time plus 3 photos, you're locked in with that price. You're never really going to earn more than that. But if you keep it open-ended and you create variety, then you actually going to end up upselling a lot more at the end. And it really, it's worked. It's worked in 2 ways. I mean, yes, it does make me more money per session, but the clients go home really happy with what they've got because they got variety. I take time and care to really get to the good shots. There's no pressure on anyone. I go by the sort of thinking that, the first 80 whatever shots, at the beginning of the session, they're just warm-ups. You rarely really, let's say the first 50 to 80 shots or something, you really rarely get to anything that's a keeper at that point because people are just getting used to the situation. And then, in the end, if I've shot, let's say 5 different setups, a white background, a gray background, different lighting, a 3/4 shot, that sort of thing. Before you know it, you're actually selling, 5 different shots. And then really the way you then break it down, because I do the image selection with the client in the room as well. So at the end of the session, I don't use online galleries. Basically, the image selection happens with the client in the room there.
Yep.
And so we go through all the different looks. We'll kind of bring it down to the hero shot, for each look. And then they're really looking at, like, let's say if you did 5 setups, they're really looking at 5 different shots. And then they are more likely than not to buy a shot from each setup, unless they really think, I don't need a white background or something.
Yeah.
Shot, But that really rarely happens. So really, the longer I can the longer I can keep the client engaged, the more setups I can go through, the more I stand to, benefit from it afterwards because you can upsell these additional shots afterwards. So that's why I normally do it. But what it means, that's how I normally do it. But what that also means is that the session fee initially is relatively expensive. Because it does have to cover the time investment to an extent. So there are, of course, people who don't need that. They don't need a selection of headshots. They just need one headshot, let's say, for a LinkedIn profile, or for their website or something like that. And they don't really want to pay that amount of money. I mean, it's really interesting. I'll tell you another thing about this in a second. But
and the quality of that headshot doesn't have to actually be that great either.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, the quality of it, I think, in my mind, is that's how I'm trying to differentiate myself from others, right? So, in my mind, I want to produce a really top-notch headshot. That's what I'm trying to do. But not everybody needs that. And not everybody wants to pay several £100 for a headshot session. Some people that just literally want to get one headshot done, and that's it. And so that's why every year I run 2 days of mini headshot sessions, or headshot mini sessions, and that's basically 2 days that I've set aside. It's usually around May time, where I do much smaller sessions, like between 20 and 40 minutes. And we're really just going for, 1 or 2 different setups. I mean, usually I have 2 or 3 different setups that are quick change setups. And the idea is really to make, to create an inexpensive solution for people who just literally want one headshot or something. And because I'm still running maybe 2, maybe 3 different setups in that session, I still have the option to upsell in that. But it's quick and easy. Yeah. So that way I can, I can book in multiple people in a day. I can book in like 6, 7 sessions a day, and I can basically shoot them back to back. And then, I have a system as to, because the image selection, that's really important. The image selection still has to happen on site. Because the way I like to do it is basically I like to shoot in the morning and then edit in the afternoon so I can get all this stuff done by the end of the day. So I don't have lots of edits hanging around for the next week or something. So
that's a good idea.
So, so actually it gives me the opportunity to onboard clients that wouldn't otherwise have become my clients. And of course, then you have the opportunity to potentially, work with that client again. They might come back. They might book you for a bigger session. They might, to come back. Even if they come back the following year for another headshot, it's fine because they're just a recurring client. That's okay. But you're not alienating those people who can't or won't pay for a fully fledged headshot session. So it's and because I'm doing it once a year, it's more of an event.
Yeah. And they don't even have to be money making to a certain extent. And what I mean by that is you can consider them as like loss leaders and whatnot, because
you could.
Everybody knows that generally if you do a good job for someone and you're personable with them, and they think, oh, I need another headshot done, I've got another photography related thing that I need doing, or video related thing that I need doing.
Yeah.
Guess who they're going to call? The person they had a good experience with, and that's it. Even if you didn't get much money from it the first time round, they're in there now, and they're there, and you can continue to send things to them throughout the course of the year. Keep
Absolutely.
them at top of mind as it goes, and that's what it's going to. Most of the people I work with are repeat people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. So, you have that opportunity of like remarketing to the to that pool of clients. But for me, I mean, if I'm honest, it's totally worthwhile doing those mini headshot sessions, because actually, I make quite a bit of extra cash, on those. So it's definitely worthwhile. I've also found that, and okay, I mean, I did them last year, and that was all right. The year before, of course, I didn't do them because it was COVID and lockdowns and whatever. But I found that they've become more and more popular, and even I found that, especially with people in like networking groups, for example, they tend to jump onto that relatively quickly, because they know. I mean, as always, when you set something up and it's time limited, and there's rarity involved, as in like it only happens once a year, and it's time limited, as in there are only 2 days. That is it. And I set up individual slots, and I explain how I do that online. Because I've completely automated the booking system, which is absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely.
It really means I have to do zero. I mean, I actually do nothing other than, of course, promoting the actual event. But, when people, choose the time slot and book in and pay and all the rest of it, all of that's automated. So, I sort of made the initial time investment of setting up emails and writing copy for emails and all the rest of it, and setting up the actual booking system. But once that's done, every year it's just simply a repeat of the same.
That's it, isn't it? So
it's pretty easy now to set up
and repeat.
So it's a worthwhile thing to do for a number of different reasons. But yeah, so I mean that's one thing that's kept me relatively busy over the last week and a half. So.
Have you thought about expanding those to perhaps, having more people in a day, go to a different venue that's not your home studio?
Okay, so yes, I have. Is the answer to that. At the moment, I like these mini sessions because they're happening at my own studio. So it's like people come to me. I don't have to really go anywhere. I have my setup and that's it.
What's that?
But you're right. So there is this. So this is a little tip, like for those people out there who maybe don't have a home studio or a studio per se. There are really easy ways that you can do a similar thing. If you look at partnering up with very specific organizations, like shared office space, for example, is a really good example. When you have something like, was it called Regus?
Regis, yeah.
Regis, yeah. So you have a company that comes in the UK, like Regis, and basically serviced office buildings. Probably the best way to describe that. You could partner up with those kind of companies, and then make an event and create an event for one day at that particular location. Bring your mobile setup. So headshots. Your setup doesn't have to be huge. And and you basically create like an event, and if you get a whole morning booked out, you can make, good money on the side there.
Yeah, so
Absolutely no problem. And and again, you're onboarding all these potential future clients as well at the same time. So, absolutely. And once you start thinking along those lines, service office buildings are not the only type of partnerships that you get into. There are loads of other opportunities out there. Whether that's, you just have to think about, where are the people that need headshots? So they're either people in, business, service office buildings, for example, or, it might be people in the entertainment industry. So, you're immediately looking at acting schools, for example, acting colleges, or, you can also think of like, okay, is there a college or university in your area that teaches business? Business graduates will need headshots to apply for jobs. It's as simple as that, and so you can literally just think of it like that. And then, partner up with a particular entity and create an event around that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's because it's beneficial for everyone. It's beneficial for you, obviously, but it's also beneficial for the school, if they can offer that to their clients. And obviously, cut them a really good deal, that is a bargain for them. And everybody's a winner, really, at the end of it. So you can kind of, as you make these connections, so of course, once you've made a connection to like your local acting school or, your local service office building, whatever, that's a connection you can then service in the future, and you can literally then start onboarding those kind of clients, one after the other. And before you know it, you can probably do these sort of one-off headshot days that you do once a year, but you do it in a number of different locations. And before you know it, you could probably do one of those several times a year. And it's a nice little thing. Again, the initial setup of the whole thing does take a little bit of time, but once you've done it once, it's happy days.
That's it. It's not, That's it.
And it's also really super fun to do. I just, as I love shooting headshots. It's just a thing that I like doing. And so, yeah. And again, you can do this. One of the things that prompted me doing this actually originally was the conversations I had with somebody in a networking group that I'm a member of, who basically tried to sort of coax me into doing cheap headshots, and I went like, well, I don't want to do that, and this conversation ensued, and it was like, well, but I just need one headshot. I'm like, well, I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
Right. If you want something cheap, I know a guy. I can give you a number.
Operates out the dog and duck around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. If that's what you need, look, I'm happy to pass that on if that's what you need, but that's not what I do. So, it's a little bit like, somebody who wants to buy a Ford Fiesta, walks into a Ferrari dealership and expects them to sell them a Ferrari for the price of a Ford Fiesta. Well, it's just not what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy to show you on the map where the Ford dealership is, right? And so, out of that conversation, I thought like, well, what can I do that works for me and works for him, or for people like that?
Yeah,
and so, that was an idea. Anyway, so that just took a little bit of planning.
No, it's a winner. And
that's the thing that's happening. The other thing, of course, I've been dealing with is predominantly passport issues last week.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
yeah, almost winning your place.
Because, and plus, as from a little over a week from now, I shall be stateless.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah,
stateless.
That's right. Yeah. You will be Tom Hanks in Terminal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that may very well happen.
Yeah.
But I'm literally going to be a citizen of the world.
Oh, wow. God, you hippie.
Exactly.
You hippie.
Yeah, so that was another fun thing. And that is by no means resolved at this point. So,
yeah, but that's it. But that's the job in Amsterdam, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the job in Amsterdam, which also is headshot related. But the, and generally speaking, that shouldn't be too difficult. But the reality is that my passport albeit still valid at the time of travel, is not very valid for much after that. So, and that's where the problem lies, but
that's easily done, particularly the last couple of years, right, when we haven't been able to travel.
Here's a funny thing, right? So, do you remember when we had this conversation? Like, honestly, I had zero idea how, like, when my passport would expire. Like, no idea. I mean, I thought in my head, it was 2024. And it turns out it's actually my daughter's passport that expires in 2024, so I must have gotten that confused. But anyway, so as I'm getting my passport to provide the details for the flight, I open it and I'm thinking, 17th of May,
Oh my God.
2022. Oh no! And as you know, with a lot of countries, you need to have at least 3 months of validity on your passport so that they let you in, so that you're allowed to travel. And so that just wasn't the case. And so my initial thought was, shit, I'm screwed because I won't get into the Netherlands.
And you know what the funny thing is? You're still not 100% sure if you're going to get back.
Okay, so here's the thing. So I've been assured by the Ministry of the Interior, or whatever it's called. I still haven't worked out what it's called over here.
What, in Germany? Oh, here?
Yeah.
The Home Office.
The Home Office, yeah. Yeah, the Home Office, of course. Yeah, so I've been assured by the German Home Office that traveling in...
Ministry of the Interior. That's what it should be called.
Well, yeah, it should be. Because that's what it's called in German, actually.
Oh, my God.
But, I guess it's the Home Office, yeah.
Sounds like something out of Harry Potter.
Yeah. So I've been assured that shouldn't be a problem. Well, I've been assured that it isn't a problem because traveling into the EU with an EU passport will basically mean that passport is valid up to the last date, to the date it expires. And I've been assured that traveling back won't be a problem.
You're not getting back.
But that doesn't fill me with that much confidence, let's put it this way. But
because you'll be traveling on a European passport, they won't let you in.
Well, I have,
and that is going to make me laugh.
Oh, well, I know it would be hilarious. But I have actually, I'm taking all my, I can't even remember what it's called.
Proof of residency.
Proof of residency stuff with me just to prove, because on the British side, it's like, your passport has to be valid for the duration of your stay, which in America is indefinite. So that's interesting. But as long as I can prove that I actually live in this country, then the hope is that
I want you to FaceTime me when you get just before you're about to go through passport control.
I will do that.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I want to see what happens.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, because then you'd get in. They'll take you aside for having your mobile phone out as well, because you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Not only having your phone out, but filming.
Yeah. So anyway, so we had this conversation. Oh, we'll do that. Yeah. But we had this conversation about passports and expiry dates and stuff, and I was like, after the pandemic and the lockdowns and everything, I literally haven't used my passport since before the first lockdown. I didn't have to, because that was the last time I traveled.
Yeah,
abroad anyway. And then you said, "Oh yeah, I set these reminders in my calendar like a year before and 6 months before and 3 months before." Like, I've never done that before.
Because I'm not an idiot. Because I can't be trusted to remember it. I can't be trusted to know when my insurance on my car runs out. Yeah. I can't be trusted to know when the tax runs out on my car or the MAT. I have no idea. I'm useless at it. Yeah. So I have to put multiple reminders in, and I still miss it.
But the funny thing is, like, when I told my wife about this, she goes like, "Yeah, that's what normal people do." And I'm like, "What?"
That is not... I'm not sure normal people do that.
No, but it's a damn good idea. I mean, I'll take that for sure.
Oh dear, it's a tricky one to come up with that. Set a reminder.
I know. But I mean, because these things are valid for 10 years.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's why you stick with Apple, because it will all transfer.
Exactly. But, but here's my little rant about the German embassy. By the way, just saying this. There's just no way that you can run an embassy and not be approachable or available to talk to anyone ever. It's just not happening. I mean, I've never experienced anything like it, And I've been dealing with the German embassy in London for 25 years, and I've never seen anything like it, where you're on hold for hours and they just cut you off.
It's your punishment for living here and not in Germany.
Or they cut you off. Like, let's say, like, the opening hours are from 11 till, I mean, in this case, like from 1:30 to
11 a.m. to 11:05.
Yeah, well, pretty much. So from like 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., they cut you off at 2 o'clock with the message, you're now calling outside to the official opening hours. And you go, like,
Choose.
choose. Yeah, exactly. Oh, my God. It's such a frustration.
Oh, that's for Dave, that is. Choose.
I've emailed them over a week ago. Do you think I've had any reply?
Of course not.
Of course not. I mean, it's just not a way to run an embassy. Just saying.
Come on, Germany.
Yeah, exactly.
You're better than this.
Well, I mean, this whole stereotype of like,
You love your cars.
This whole thing about like being overly organized. No, this is just simply not true.
Not when they're here.
Not happening. Not happening. And then I look at the Dutch website, like Dutch embassy website, and it's all like super modern, new, fancy, seems very efficient. You look at the German website, it's like it's made in 1996.
So it's the UK one.
On Windows 94, 95, isn't it?
So it's the UK one. It's shocking.
Oh, yeah, the government website. Yeah.
Shocking.
The German embassy is even worse than that, though. Oh. Yeah, it has to be said. But the Gov doc, okay, fair enough.
It's bad, isn't it? It is bad.
The Gov UK website is.
It's terrible. It looks like it's made for children, but written in such a way that it's made for no one.
I always think I've done something wrong, but I get them there.
Yeah, it's always so awful. I don't know who they got to create that for them. There's no one intelligent.
I mean, and also it's literally been the same for at least 7 years. I haven't seen any changes.
It works about the same as well.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so after that little rant, here's a question I will pose for today. And the question is, does having the latest gear make you a better photographer?
Absolutely.
100%. You heard it here for us. 100%.
Yeah, what a revelation that was. Yeah, absolutely. Of course it bloody doesn't. What a ridiculous question.
So, does owning the latest camera body, for example, with the latest autofocus technology and the latest whatever, does that make you a better photographer?
No,
or not?
It just makes your life ever so slightly more convenient. It makes your life slightly more easy.
The thing about that is, it's really funny when you watch newbies do photography.
So there is a slight depend here. If you take video work, if I put your D750 and film this, right, it's going to look a certain way. And it'll look all right, actually. It will look all right once you take some of that magenta out of it.
Yeah,
that's so weird. Yeah. It's so weird. It's just super magenta. Yeah. So anyway, and it will look a certain way, and it's all right. Yeah. You can light it all the same, all of that stuff.
Yeah,
do everything the same. But when you put nicer gear in front of it, it does look a darn sight better.
Yeah,
it does. It does. Now that is.
Well, there's got to be some advantage to more expensive or newer gear, because otherwise, what's the point?
Well, there is, but I guess when you so take. I mean, when you're looking at stills, I feel slightly differently about it.
Yeah, okay.
I do a little bit, and I can't really explain why. it's because it has there's one thing about video looking different and looking more professional, for want of a better phrase, but you don't necessarily look more or less professional with different camera bodies for stills.
Well, the thing with stills is, I think you've got more, especially when you shoot in RAW, you do have more flexibility.
You do.
And I'll tell you one thing that actually did surprise me was when, do you remember about a year ago or something, we went to Brighton to do some street photography, which is something we have to repeat, by the way. But there was a shot that I took that I turned into a big print, which is now in my sort of office area. And I look at that print and I'm like, that print looks damn good. And that was shot on my little Fuji.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at it and you're like, that's a freaking damn fine print, you know? So, and ordinarily, I think in the past, I would have felt better having shot that with the Nikon.
They just will look different. They will just look a bit different, but not necessarily better or worse in any stretch. I don't think you can necessarily say that of video once you get into a certain realm.
Yeah, sure.
Everything around, you know, in the DSLR kind of world, if you like, will look there or thereabouts. But when you do hit like cinema line cameras and stuff like that, they do look different. They do look better, in my opinion. But that's my taste. Yeah. That's what I like the look of. But stills, they look different, but they aren't worse. One's not better than the other. Yeah. You shoot on your Fuji, you shoot on your Nikon, it will just look different.
Yeah, and plus, you know, as far as the flexibility in the RAW file is concerned and the post-production on it, you have more flexibility in those files. Yeah. You know, it just surprised me that it actually looked that good, you know, in print. So it's a fairly large print, and it's, you know, it's nice.
Yeah.
So so that was one thing, but you know, my observation is always generally that, you know, when you look at people who first start out in photography, like people who are just getting into it and they sort of starting to go past the auto stage, you know, where people are starting to struggle with, you know, the exposure triangle and like, you know, autofocus modes and all that kind of stuff at the very beginning. I think, and although it's sort of a beautiful stage to be in because it's that sort of that stage of discovery where you discover all of these things. You know,
it's quite exciting, actually.
Yeah, it's quite exciting, exactly. But you sort of think, well, but no matter whether they have, you know, an older, or like, you know, like let's say an entry level camera, like for Nikon, let's say a D3, was it D3 5000? Was it 3500 or something? Or a Z9? That problem is still the same, you know, and something that maybe applies to video as well. It's like the expertise that you gain in terms of lighting something. You know, if you light something really well, that is still going to be a vastly better image, even if you shoot it with, you know, a cheaper camera, for example, compared to somebody who has zero idea about that and uses a C70 or whatever to shoot an image that's badly lit.
Yeah,
you know, the rest of it. You know, I think you can still get better results if you know what you're doing, basically. You know, as a photographer or as a videographer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like that's to me, that's always that's sort of the, you know, the main thing.
Well, I watched. It was quite a while ago now, but I remember watching. His name escapes me now, but he runs. Is it Filmmaker Pro or Filmmaker? What's his name?
The Filmmaking Academy or
something. I forget now. Top bloke. I've learned a lot from him over the years. Some really good stuff on general filming and obviously editing. And he did a video a little while ago of, you know, basically a beginner using a $10,000 camera and a pro using a $100 camera or $200 camera, that kind of style.
I have seen that.
You know?
I've come across the video. I haven't watched it, but I've come across it.
Yeah, some good stuff. Just goes to show. Yes, it won't have necessarily have the look that he would have got if he'd used the pro camera, but the quality of the film is better.
Yeah,
you know, it's that kind of thing, and it just goes to show that it's not one. And this is the other thing, right? When you're watching something, you after just a few seconds, you're tuned in with how it looks. Yeah. That's why if you look at the color grading on some films, they're actually really strong. They're not natural in any way most of the time. Yeah. But you're just in tune, and it just feels normal, natural.
I tell you what, actually, talking about color grading there for a second, I've engaged in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie marathon. Right.
Well, you're going to be really bored after the first 90 minutes.
Oh, well. So
they're crap after the first one.
Well, but
maybe the second and third's okay.
They're cool. I'm now at the beginning of the very beginning of the fourth. So I've done 3 movies. But there are, well, I tell you what struck me was there's some battle scenes. I think it's if I remember correctly, it's in the third one. There's some battle scenes which are actually awesome. They're wicked. They're shot in a really great way. The action is fantastic. You know, special effects are superb. But the color grading is so monotone. Like it's like a greenish black and white, but it's just monotone. And of course, I mean, it helps.
You don't necessarily think about it or see it when you're watching it.
Exactly.
But I tell you what, if you were grading that, you know, I can't do that.
Yeah, all the color's been taken out of it, really, and it's all in this like greenish gray kind of colorized. So it's that kind of look, and of course, it adds to it's a battle scene between 2 ships at sea in a storm type of a thing, and they're like going at each other, and like pirates swinging from one ship to the other, and whatever, and it just adds to the trist, grim situation that they're
that's
in.
it, isn't it?
Yeah, and you don't realize how the color goes for that scene. It's just like you watch it and it just seamlessly seems to blend in with everything else. But of course, because I was watching it and I had to pause it for something, and then when I came back to it, I just noticed that there was virtually no color in the whole image. So it's very interesting.
Color's powerful, particularly in film. If you want a sickly, psychologically nasty kind of vibe to it, you push some green because that's the most unsettling. It's one of the most unsettling colors, green, and that kind of yellow with it as well. It's just you don't like it. Your eyes don't like it.
Yeah.
So that's why it just makes you feel a certain way. It just adds to the vibe.
That's why nobody likes the Green Goblin.
The what?
The Green Goblin.
The Green Goblin. Yeah, that's why no one likes the Green Goblin.
Yeah, nobody likes frogs either. Kermit, you're done.
But it's funny. I was just scrolling through Netflix the other day, and the Joker's on it now. Right.
Oh yeah.
And on my TV, when you're scrolling through and you stop on a film, it automatically plays the trailer for you still on the main screen.
Oh really?
Yeah, I've got a fancy TV.
Oh.
And it just started. I was just scrolling. Oh god, I need to rewatch that. And it started playing. It's the scene where I was just about to say Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh,
I forgot his name now.
Joaquin Phoenix.
No, not him. Why can't I remember his name? You're all shouting this right now. I know you are.
In the Joker.
Yeah, he's a TV host.
Oh, I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
It's... Oh, that's going to bug me in a minute. For some reason, his name is... He's one of the most famous actors on the planet.
TV host.
His name's completely blanking me. I don't know why he's blanking me right now. Anyway, it's that section where he's in a TV studio. And you look behind... wherever his name is right now, it's really annoying me. and it's got those 70s kind of colours behind him.
Okay.
And it scrolls back around, and the colour grading on that film is absolutely outstanding. It looks incredible. It makes you feel a very specific way.
No.
And it's, if you haven't seen it and you're into video or anything towards that, even just photography, just go watch it and look at the colours that are in that film and just pay attention to the colours that happen. It is outstanding.
A great TV series for color grading, in my view, is Mindhunters.
Oh, yeah.
It's that's a really nice, typical example for orange and teal, but it's just really nicely done. So that's one that I like for that very reason.
Yeah. Tommy Lee Jones. Robert De Niro.
Oh, Robert De Niro.
My God. How could I forget his name?
It's been a while since I've seen it, Joe.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it again soon. As soon as I get a moment, I need to rewatch it. It's just, aside from it being a brilliant film.
Have you seen The Batman?
No. I keep putting it off.
It's pretty damn good.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
I just don't like him.
I don't like him either. But it's... Do you remember when the last Batman series came out?
With Ben Affleck.
No, The Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah, right.
Love that.
So when that first came out, it was really different from any other Batman that was before that, right? It was different from Val Kilmer's Batman. It was different from, what's his face? ER Batman. It's different from
ER Batman.
Whatever his face. What's his face?
George Clooney.
Yeah, that's it. Coach Goonie.
ER Batman.
Yeah, so
that's great.
So it's when The Dark Knight first came out, it's very different from all of those. And this version of the Batman is yet again really different from anything else that was before that. And it's shot in a really interesting way. I think you'd enjoy it, actually.
I've seen a couple of bits and pieces of it, and I've seen a few stills of it. And there's this one particular shot where I think the car's upside down, and you see him walking away into fire, and the whole image is orange.
Yeah, that's definitely, that is very much a look in this. I mean, it's very orangey, there's sorts of reds in it. It's really different. You very rarely ever see Bruce Wayne in this.
Okay.
I mean, he doesn't actually show up as Bruce Wayne a lot in that movie at all.
I'm willing to bet that's because he was a bit shit at it.
Well, but it's just it's a very long movie as well. It's like nearly 3 hours long or something.
Really?
Yeah. But it is, yes, definitely. It surprised me because I had exactly the same sentiment before, and I was like, "Oh man, do I really want to see a vampire in a bloody bat costume?"
I wonder if they learned a little bit from Justice League.
Oh, 100%.
Zack Snyder and go
completely different
style.
style.
You know what? Maybe we'll actually, because the theatrical version that came out of Justice League was, I didn't enjoy it all that much.
Yeah, true.
But I really enjoyed the Zack Snyder cut.
So when you see this one, this is completely different from that, and again, it's like what's the best way to describe it? He doesn't actually have that many gimmicks. Like, he doesn't have, like, his Batmobile is essentially something like a souped up Camaro. That's it. There's nothing special to it.
Okay.
There aren't any like weapons on it or anything like that. Like his Batman costume is not that sophisticated. He's got, like a grappling hook gun type of a thing. That's about it. There's nothing else really to
So basically, he's Adam West.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit more sophisticated, but really there's no, he doesn't really have that many like super sophisticated gadgets or anything like that. He doesn't do really anything that's...
You're not selling it to me right now.
But what it is, it's really dark, and they've created this really interesting look to this movie. And there's just something to it.
I will watch it. I will watch it.
So I think, personally, I think they've done a really, really good job. There's also the scene where he shows up for the first time in the bat costume. It's he literally, that's a really great scene. So they extended that scene and like made you wait for this moment, you know. It's essentially a scene where there's a bunch of like street crooks, you know, they're like some street gang activity or whatever, and then I think they're in like some metro station or something like that. And then he basically emerges out of the shadow, but it's super slow and really menacing. And it's like, you just think, okay, it's gonna freaking kick off any second. And you know, when this fighting starts, you actually realize, well, he's not that much of a superhuman. Do you know what I mean? It's a really interesting way to shut the whole thing. So
important question: does his bat suit have
nipples?
Little...
No.
Did you know I was going to say that?
That's what I always look for.
Well, that's it. It's not Batman unless he's got nipples
in the crotch area. There's the only two things. Yeah.
Thank you, ER Batman.
Oh, exactly. So so I enjoyed it. It was definitely different from what I expected for sure, but nevertheless, again, color. Seeing that we're talking about the color grading, interesting movie.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the film as such, although you've said a few good things there, so maybe I'll look forward to it a bit more. But I'm looking forward to seeing how it looks. Yeah. So the few stills I've looked looks really interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I quite like the way that they've sort of scaled the whole, you know, the whole technology thing. Because the thing about the Zack Snyder thing is, you know, he's got all these gadgets, like in this crawler machine thing, and it's just gone a little too high tech. And what they've done with this one is they've like totally scaled that back, like where he's literally doesn't really have really any sophisticated weapons whatsoever, you know, and it's just brute force basically. You know, he's got a couple of things, you know, where there's some sort of contact lenses that film stuff or whatever, but that's about it. I mean, that's literally. So
he's just James Bond in a black suit,
and he gets beaten up quite a lot.
Oh, he's rubbish as well.
Okay. Actually, I tell you what that reminds me of. That's a little bit like. Do you remember when Casino Royale first came out? That was sort of. There was a version of James Bond where they literally, again, they've sort of taken all the sophistication out of it, and he was just a brutal guy who was like, you know, using brute force to beat up his opponents. And there wasn't a lot of like gizmos or anything.
And that was the best James Bond in years.
Yeah. And a similar thing has happened with the Batman, is where they've just taken all that and it just made it a little bit more hands-on, you know, a little bit more brutal. And so that really reflects on his opponents as well, because you know, you get the Penguin in there and the Joker, and the Joker doesn't look anything like you imagine a Joker to look like.
No, I haven't seen stills of them. Don't describe it. I don't want to know. I want to be surprised.
They really don't look anything like you think they would look.
Okay.
And that's it works with the feel of the film, actually. So yeah, interesting thing. If you haven't seen the Batman, it's available on. I think it's on. It's definitely available for download at the moment.
Yeah. In your usual illegal places
or illegal places. So yeah,
don't do that.
So that's anyway, good movie. I enjoyed that one.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Cool. Well, that's pretty much all that's been happening this week.
Shebang.
We will be back next week, of course, as per usual on Thursday.
Shebang.
That's it. You have finally made it to the end of episode 105 of the Camera Check podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. And remember, if you are listening to the audio version of this podcast, then write us a little review, give us a little star rating. But if you must head over to YouTube, then give us a little like, subscribe, and all the rest of it. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all those good places, because that would be good. Great. See you next week.
Tic tac.
Tic tac.